everyone is talking about.
Awesome place. I never get pizza anywhere else.
Great New York-style pizza and dishes.
Best pizza in Ocala.
One trip and you'll agree, La Famiglia Pizzeria is the best. La Famiglia Pizzeria. Stop by for a pizza that you'll love or call in and order yours for pickup. 352-245-2419. La Famiglia Pizzeria.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 23 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. You know, I don't know how to change the world. As much as in my idealistic days, and maybe there's still some moments as I get older that, maybe I can do something that will affect at least my corner of the world, my town, or maybe my neighborhood. The one thing I've always been confident in is this. I can change my world, my little world. If I'm unemployed, I'll find some way to make money. It's just always been kind of a belief I've had. Dr. Ravi Batra, I believe he's been with us before. He's an economist. He's a professor of economics at Southern Methodist University in Dallas. He is the recipient of the Pratina and Naveen Doshi Award for his contributions to economic analysis. He knows how to change the world when it comes to money. He has received the Medal of the Italian Senate and the New York Times he is a New York Times bestselling author. His book is called End Unemployment Now, How to Eliminate Joblessness, Debt, and Poverty Despite Congress. I like that last part. Dr. Ravi Batra, good morning, doctor.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. Where are you calling from?
I'm in Dallas, SMU Dallas.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for being on the air with us. You know, in my slightly arrogant statement, I said I could always get a job for myself, which is kind of true. I didn't say a good job, though, just to humble myself a little bit. But I think the good jobs come when the economy is better. Am I right about that?
Well, that's right. Good jobs come when the economy is better, and that's what I have done. I have a recipe for improving the economy. What has been happening is that for the last 30 years or so many imbalances have built up, and so now the world economy, the whole world economy, including the U.S., is simply stagnant. We just have 2% growth. We used to have 3.5%, 4% growth through our history. And the reason why this is occurring is that productivity keeps rising and wages don't. And rising productivity means increased production or supply, and you have stagnant wages. Stagnant wages mean a stagnant demand. So demand doesn't rise, whereas supply keeps going up, so there is overproduction. And because of overproduction, there are either layoffs, or to eliminate that overproduction, the government has to follow policies that increase debt in the economy, because through increased borrowing, then people buy those goods. And the government also buys those goods through increased borrowing. So we have either a rise in unemployment through overproduction or a rising debt year after year. And that you can see that has been going on for the last 30 years. And that's not a way to have a healthy economy, because it only makes the rich richer. As the government spending, government deficit essentially goes into the pockets of the very wealthy as their goods are sold out, and the poor become poorer because wages keep falling. So that's what has been happening, and Congress is not worried about it. The president doesn't know much economics, and so that's the problem. So I have therefore offered a solution in this book, which can be applied without going through Congress, and that would take care of poverty and unemployment at the same time.
And do we apply it individually? Like, for example, does one corporation get your philosophy, your principles that you outline in the book, and apply it to themselves? I guess I'll just end the question right there. And I have a thought on this, but I want to hear your answer to that question.
Well, first of all, we should realize that the only cause of unemployment in the United States at least, is rising productivity and stagnant wages. The result being the wage gap keeps going up, and it has been going up for the last 30 years. And the rising wage gap creates unemployment plus poverty at the same time. So the right solution would be to follow policies that raise wages to the level of productivity. And it's only fair also. If a person becomes more productive, then the wages should go up. But we have in the U.S. what we call monopoly capitalism. We don't have free market capitalism. We have monopoly capitalism. And what these monopoly capitalists do is they can charge high prices and pay low wages and extract huge productivity from their employees by making them work very hard. That's what these
now let me just try to. I don't know if what I'm going to say is challenging you, because I certainly am not one to challenge somebody who's studied this and received awards for this. So I'm probably talking to you like a kindergartner in this subject. But here's my thought on this, because I've lived in this world too, and I've worked in this world, and I'd never depended on the government to tell me it was time for a raise. What I would do is I would go to whoever employed me, and I would say, look, I'm wanting a little bit increase in wages. I've been here a couple of years now, and if you see fitting, then I would like this dollar amount, and I'll put it on a piece of paper and hand it to the boss and say, this is what I would like from this point on. And if they say no, then I say, okay, that's fine, and I'll find somebody else who will say yes. And that's how I've climbed the ladder, so to speak.
Well,
the average person doesn't do that, I know. But in other words, I don't need to wait for the government or any legislator to say that your wages are now higher.
Well, wages are actually not high, and you are a talented person. So with a person with skills and talents can go to the employer and demand higher wages, but most people, the vast majority, do routine type of work, and they are not in a position to demand higher wages. In fact,
that's fair.
When they go for higher wages, the company threatens to take the plant to Mexico or China, and that's
true too. Yeah,
that's the other problem. But what I have done, I've suggested is that the way to do this would be to increase competition in various industries so that these monopoly capitalists don't have that much economic power, that much monopoly power. So we should break up many of the big giant industries and create real competition for them. But Congress would never go for that, and the president also cannot do that unilaterally. But the president can create competition for various industries, and that's part of the Constitution, by the way, that the president has the authority and the duty to maintain free enterprise in our system. So what I've suggested is, for instance, take the giant banking industry. These banks are nowadays getting money almost free from the Federal Reserve at 0% interest rates, and but they're still charging 15 to 20% rate of interest on their credit card balances. So their profit margin is now the highest ever that I can see in the recorded data. So I have suggested that President use the agency called FDIC. The FDIC insures our deposits. So whenever a bank fails, the FDIC takes over this bank and puts money into it. They sell that bank back to a banking giant, and the banking giant then reaps the profit. So I'm suggesting the FDIC has the legal authority to keep that bank in operation on its own for 3 years. So instead of selling that bank to say Bank of America, they keep it open for 3 years, appoint their own managers, and tell the managers that you can also borrow money at 0% rate from the Federal Reserve, but you should charge only 5% on your credit card loans. This way they will create competition for all these giant banks, and other people would then transfer their loan balances to the FDIC bank, and immediately credit card interest rates will fall to 5%. And just imagine that that cuts down poverty immediately for millions of people in the middle class and in the poor.
My
because
goodness.
They are the ones.
And I actually understood what you were saying there. I sometimes I don't quite follow economic talk, but you were speaking to me, and I'm guess the layperson, and so that's important for us to be able to understand your proposal here. I hope somebody who can make these decisions is listening to you, Doctor. It sounds like a really good idea. Can I ask you to just hold on for a second? We've got to pay some bills.
Sure.
That's our economics. So we'll take a little break, and we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Friday night, a thunderstorm in spots, otherwise partly cloudy, low 73 to 75. On Saturday, periods of clouds and sunshine with a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 92 to 94. Partly sunny with a shower or thunderstorm on Sunday, high 92 to 95.
It's the end of the fiscal year, and that means budget cuts and number crunching. Now's the time of the year you're evaluating your expenses, planning your budget, and finding ways to save money and increase efficiency to maximize profits. Dex Imaging understands and delivers. Call Dex Imaging today for a free document management evaluation. Cutting your office expenses is as easy as calling Dex Imaging, 352-266-0333. Start saving money today and increase your bottom line with Dex Imaging. Printers, copiers, and fax machines that increase office productivity and save you money. No one understands your bottom line better. Call Dex Imaging today, 352-266-0333, or check them out on the web at deximaging.com. That's DEXimaging.com. Or call 352-266-0333 for your free document management evaluation today.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transponder keys. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lock, Dock, and Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
The Coke Zero 400. It's where American pride meets NASCAR history. This year, you can catch a glimpse of NASCAR history yet to come with the all-new seats and all-new views of Daytona Rising. And be sure to stick around for one of the Southeast's largest fireworks shows after the race. Kids 12 and under are $10 for the Coke Zero 400, powered by Coca-Cola. Sunday night, July 5th. New seats are selling fast. Guarantee yours now at 1-800-PIT-SHOP or DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Is your credit headed in the wrong direction? If so, Florida Credit Union can help turn it around. If the signs are reading missing payments, maxing out cards, or borrowing from financing companies, it's time to steer your credit to safety. Pull into a Florida Credit Union today and let us help you map out a personalized credit management plan. Get a free credit report analysis and advice to help you consolidate wisely. A better plan can get you to a better place. Florida Credit Union, connecting your money to your life. Federally insured by the NCUA.
All right. You know who is a smart leader? A smart leader is the person who knows how to delegate to people who are actually smarter than him or herself, right? That's the person. If you have president, Dr. Ravi Batra hasn't said he's running for president, but just listening to him, makes you realize, gosh, we need somebody like this in the president's office. And then you realize, no, we don't. We just need a president who will listen to somebody like Dr. Ravi Batra. That's all we really need.
Exactly. The president doesn't need to know economics, but he should have somebody on his staff that does.
Good point. Yeah. The book that Dr. Batra has that is explaining this in detail is called End Unemployment Now, How to Eliminate Joblessness, Debt, and Poverty Despite Congress. And Dr. Batra, thank you for waiting during the break. And I was thinking during the break how in such a short period of time you were able to enable me to at least understand, I guess, the thumbnail sketch version of this.
Well, as I said earlier, right now, the banks are charging at least 15% on average interest rate on credit card balances. If we were to bring that interest rate down to 5% by and the president can do that by creating competition for all these banks. And right now, the credit card loans are about $900 billion, and you cut their interest rate by 10%, you have a $90 billion permanent tax cut for the middle class and the poor without raising any debt or deficit. And this will create consumer demand additionally because their interest rates will really fall. I mean, the Federal Reserve really wants interest rates to come down, but they have come down only to corporations, not to consumers. The consumer rate is even higher than it was in 2007.
Is it a hard sell, though? Is it a hard sell to get the banks to do that? Or it sounds like what you're saying is competition would force them to do it.
Yeah, that's right. Competition is the best regulator. The government keeps passing new and new regulations, new and new laws, but they are ineffective if those laws are not enforced. Competition is the best way to pass these laws, and that's what will revive our economy right away, because, first of all, it eliminates poverty for millions of people because their credit card balances are huge.
The bank that I have my credit card with is what's it called now?
Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo. Before it was Wells Fargo, I can't remember the different names, but it's had several different names.
First Union.
Okay. And what I'm told is that this bank bought this other bank. So do we start to see banks doing what corporations do? Well, is a bank considered a corporation? But when they swallow each other up like that, does that actually hurt us as a people?
Yes, because they have no competition. They all charge the same interest rate. That's the amazing part. They all charge around 15%. Nobody charges 12% or 10%. They all charge 15%. So since they all do the same thing, there is no price competition, and then we have to keep paying this interest rate, even though the Federal Reserve wants to bring interest rates down and is paying so much money to the banks to do that. But what the banks do is to use that money to, say, buy oil, to speculate in oil, speculate in commodities, but they don't. And this way, bank profits are now the highest in the last 25, 30 years, and you can tell that by looking at the salaries of their CEOs.
There seems to me to be an economic division in the United States, because you hear about companies that are started by Americans going into bankruptcy, but yet other people come from overseas and they build up these companies and they're not going bankrupt.
Well, the main thing is that our corporations want to produce in other countries and bring those products back. The production cost is very low there, and then they bring them back here and charge very high prices. This way they make a lot of money, but they eliminate American jobs at the same time. So another proposal that I have in the book is that it's okay to have free trade, but we should have balanced free trade so that our trade deficit is zero. There is no other country in the world which tolerates trade deficit for year after year, but we are doing it because our multinational corporations want it that way. They want to produce in China and Mexico and bring those goods back into the United States. But I have a proposal that the president could easily set an export exchange rate. We have our exchange rate is very, very high, and so our goods are expensive abroad. China and Japan are manipulating their currencies. Why can't we do that? Because it appears that this is all right with the WTO, the World Trade Organization says, okay, you can manipulate your currencies, but let's do the same thing.
Dr. Ravi Batra is our guest, and I wanted to ask you something, and I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot, but when I mentioned at the beginning that you won the medal you were awarded the Medal of Italian Senate, because you were given this in 1990, according to my notes, by the Prime Minister of Italy, because you wrote a book that correctly predicted the downfall of the Soviet communism 15 years before it happened. So
That's right.
And that was because of economic
that's right.
red flags, right?
That's right. My analysis was that nobody can violate the laws of demand and supply. And you can do it for a little while, but you can't do it forever. And so I wrote a book in around 1980 or something, in which I predicted that by the end of the century, the Soviet communism would be gone. I mean, I wasn't sure exactly what year. But
Right.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm bringing it up is because I'm wondering, and here's where I'm putting you on the spot. Do you have any predictions for us if we don't do something about our inequality, our poverty versus? I mean, we went out on a boat. Listen to this. Just 2 weeks ago with my brother down in Sarasota. Not a bad boat. But there are people out there with boats that must cost $2 or $3 or $4 million. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, right.
I know. Well, see, the theory is very simple. Always in economics, look at supply and demand. Don't look at any other thing. Supply and demand decide everything. Productivity is the main source of supply. Wages are the main source of demand. So if productivity keeps rising and wages don't, then supply will keep rising faster than demand, and there will be overproduction. Overproduction means layoffs, and layoffs also increase poverty. Now, so if you want to have a stable economy and an economy without recession, you should follow policies that allow wages to catch up with productivity. If you don't, you can keep raising debt for a while, and that's what the governments all over the world have been doing, but that's a temporary fix, and in the end, there comes a time debt cannot rise anymore because, for instance, banks have to require a good collateral from consumers to be able to lend them money, and consumers run out of good collateral. Once they have run out of home equity or their 0% financing on cars and so on, banks stop lending.
Do credit unions offer a way to have competition, to make competition with banks, or are credit unions on the same page as banks?
No, they're too small. See.
Oh, they're too small.
Yeah, and banks are the one like Bank of America, Citibank, J.P. Morgan, W4. There are about 5 of them which set these rates, credit card rates, and the amazing part I found was they're all charging the same rate.
Wow.
And so where is the competition?
Well, I hope somebody listens to you. I don't think Donald Trump will be elected. I think he would listen to you, though, because I think he's a guy who understands he doesn't know everything, so he hires people who do know something.
Yes, right.
And all I'm saying is let's create free enterprise. There are laws which do not allow large companies to merge with each other, but nobody has been enforcing them in the past 30 years. In 1911, Standard Oil was broken up into 16 entities, out of which Exxon on one side and Mobil on the other side were born. Now they have become ExxonMobil.
Isn't that something? Wow, yeah. I never knew that. Doctor, thank you for being on the air. We're out of time, but I want to let the people know how to get the book. It's called End Unemployment Now. Give us some websites and other information.
Well, my website is ravibatra.com, one word, RAVIBATRA.com. And then I have full information about my book and about other articles I'm writing. By the way, I just wrote an article which you might like to read. It's called Debt and Destitution. It's published on HuffPost a few days ago. Debt and Destitution. It is the debt that is making the rich richer and the poor poorer, and the government thinks they are doing a great favor to the unemployed.
All right. Dr. Batra, thank you. The website that he just said is listed on the WOCA page. Thank you, Doctor. We'll be right back.
Attic Mall Studios. This is WOCA. Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages. 1370 AM, 96.3 FM. The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Millian Wu. A deadly siege on a beach in Tunisia, leaving at least 27 dead, many of them foreigners in the resort area.
We heard some gunfire, but